What's up YouTube? This is the Psy-Frame Duelist here, coming at you guys with a Mark III updated version of my Psy-Frame Deck profile. Alright? Alright, good to know. Now, let's get right on into this. As always, you gotta run 3 of the Psy-Frame drivers. He is amazing because he is the card that you want to get when you use your monster effects. You also got to run 3 of the alpha. What his effect is, when you control no monsters, you can reveal him from your hand, special summon himself, plus any driver from anywhere except for Banish Zone. And then immediately you can get a search off of any Psy-Frame card other than himself. Alright, next up is we got, sorry, let me put that back. We got 3 of the beta. Beta essentially is when your opponent declares an attack while you control no monsters. You can reveal him and then destroy the monster and end the battle phase. Just like that. Next up we run 3 of the delta. He negates things. He negates spell things. So your opponent activates a spell card. Then you can reveal it and negate the activation and destroy it. Alright? And then you special summon itself plus a driver from anywhere. All of them special driver from anywhere, so you don't need to worry about that. Next up we got 3 of the gamma. Oh yeah, I should probably say I'm doing it back to because it changed up just a little bit. Added some cards, took out some cards. Simple. But these will always stay the same. 3 of all of the effect monsters, 3 of the vanilla. That's all the same. He negates monster effects. He's also really good because that can stop your opponent's monster effects from going off. It's one of the main ways how I can beat Blue Eyes, because that stops their Blue Eye Spirit Dragon from banishing my stuff. My shit. Sorry. Next up we run 3 of the card Ds. I was getting into an argument with someone about card D versus Mystic Piper. I still think card D is better. I'd like to know in the comment section what you guys think about card D versus Mystic Piper. He was basically making the argument that Mystic Piper, you can still use your monster effects on the same turn. My argument is that's completely irrelevant, because when you're activating card D, your intention is to end your turn. So there's no reason for you to activate your card effects. Also, I don't think, and this is just me, so don't quote me or don't take this for real. I'm pretty sure card D tributes for cost. I know tributes for cost. I don't think that Mystic Piper tributes for cost, because I didn't, when I was reading the card, I didn't see the semicolon anywhere. I saw it all being one word, which is not, which is all in resolution. It's nothing in activation. But that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a judge, so don't quote me on that. I want to be a judge. I failed the test. Oh, but let's not get into my sob story about my stupid test skills and get back to the deck profile. Next up, we run 3 of the Psy-Frame Circuit, because this card is incredible. It's going to become less relevant when the Trap Accelerator comes out. I'll have a video on that. If this video is not already out, I'll have a video coming out soon about how it just speeds up the deck so much to when you're not only using your Psy-Frame Circuits effect to synchro summon, you're actually relying more on the synchro summon mechanic itself than just the circuit. But you can still use the circuit too. I still use the circuit. You could create your own deck without circuit and just run Accelerator. I do not recommend it. It's very, very bricky. It's hard to create good decks out of it. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend, however, running 3 of the circuits and 3 of the Accelerator when it comes out, though. That really does actually help out the deck, and the circuit just adds more synchroing ability. Alright? Next up, we run 3 of the Pod Duality. I did actually find my gold rare Pod Duality again, so I'm so happy. I found it just a little bit after I made the Mark II video. So we're back up to 3 Pod Duality. I should mention now that I did actually take this deck into my locals, and I did come in second place. It's just a local. I wouldn't go bragging about it or anything like that. But it did beat a bunch of really good decks, and it just barely lost to Cosmo because I misplayed one time. I activated a mistake when I had an alpha in hand, or I drew an alpha, and I just wrecked my own self just because I was like, well, I got Pot of Duality, activated Pot of Duality, got mistake off of Pot of Duality, set 2 cards. He MST'd one of them, and he missed the mistake, so I said F it, he knows it's there, so I just activated it. And then I drew right into an alpha, and I just proceeded to lose the game from that point forward because I couldn't search. And then my luck goes to where afterwards, my very next draw after my alpha was a terraforming. Again, F my life. I'm sorry. Next up, we run 3 of the Psychic Field Zone. I bumped it up from 2 to 3. I have not looked back, honestly. Psychic Field Zone is incredible. When you get Psychic Field Zone in hand, your intentions are to banish your own stuff, so your trap becomes even more alive. I decided finally to get the Psychic Path. I know for the longest time I said I'm not going to run Psychic Path, I don't like it, I'm not going to choose to run it. The end result was I decided to get it, and I love it. It's a good fit, but it's only at 1 in here. I'm enjoying it. I get it when I need it. And my other return from Banish Zone is my Burial from a Different Dimension. Again, don't know why people don't run it. It works very good to get your drivers back from the Banish Zone so you can keep doing your shenanigans. And it works for your opponent too, so if I have a Zeta that banished their monster, or I Omega the monster in hand, I can use Burial and rip that card from the Banish Zone into the graveyard, and then they don't get that card back, and it's just really effective. Next up, I decided to run it. I run 1 Soul Charge now. I'm also preparing for when I'm preparing for multi-threader because Soul Charge will become even more alive. I thought that what Soul Charge said originally, because I didn't actually ever really play this card that much, because I didn't really like the card in the decks I was using. I thought it said that you couldn't special summon for the rest of the turn after activating and resolving Soul Charge, or something stupid like that. When I read the card that you just can't enter your battle phase, or you just can't attack, I said, well, shit, I'm not going to be, when I'm activating Soul Charge, I'm not going to be planning to attack. I'm mostly just trying to be getting my support cards, my synchros on the field, and using their effects. I'm not going to be planning to attack that turn. So I said, fuck it, and I put the 1 Soul Charge in, and oh my god, it's been working very good. Because right now I just need to pay 2,000 life points, and I immediately get an Omega on field. No hassle, no stress, no nothing. It's just right there and then. So I said, you know, fuck it. And it's been working very good. It's actually how I got into the top 2, because I was able to use the Psychic Field Zone, get an Omega, Soul Charge, get the same cards back on field, get another Omega, and then immediately get into the Spiders, and then I just won the game. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't destroy my cards. I banished his special summoned cards and attached 1. It was absolutely incredible. I loved it. It was the only time I've ever actually been able to put the Spiders on board in real life. So I love Soul Charge. Next up, the one of that might end up taken out is Hand Destruction. This is my replacement for Pot of Desires because I hate the Banish 10 effect. And Hand Destruction gives you that draw 2 cards. It's a neg 1, but as I explained earlier, if you watched my Mark II video, if I dump a driver and I get a gear off of the draw, then my hand's already better than what it was before. Therefore, this is absolutely worth it. Also, if I dump my trap card, Overload, then my very next turn I can get a search off. So that's another thing that makes it worth it. And then lastly, for our spells, we run the 1 Terraforming. You don't need 2, you don't need 3, you just need 1, honestly. you search enough as is, especially with what the deck's going to become in the future. At least what my deck's going to become in the future. I don't need more than one terraforming. In fact, even when I get terraforming, a lot of the times, it's just a brick. So, you know, in some cases I could even take out the terraforming, but I'm not going to. And that's it for our spell cards. For our traps, we run the 3 overload. You can't take this out. You can't. It's just too good. Targeting a card, banishing it face down. As long as you have a card on field that can be targeted, you know, it works. It just banishes it face down, and you don't need to deal with it for the rest of the game, essentially, because not much people have cards that can bring back from Banish Zone that doesn't target. Or target a specific type, like monster, spells, stuff like that. That's the only way to bring cards back that are banished face down, is when a card just says return to the target a banished card and return it to the graveyard. Like Omega, he's like Omega's really the only way you can really get the only way you can really get cards back from the banished zone that are face down. Let me just fix this real quick. I'm sorry. I don't like messing up my cards. Not really that. I just respect this deck way too much for my own taste. Anyways, and a lot of times people ask me why I play Psy-Frames all the time. Short answer, I used to play Ritual Beasts. Enough said. There's really nothing else that needs to be said after that, is I just used to play Ritual Beasts and I was good at it. And this deck just fits my playstyle better than, even better than Ritual Beasts did, honestly. So I just fell in love with it. As I said earlier in my last video, I did get the Drowning Mirror Forces, and here they are. My 3 Drowning Mirror Forces, secret rare. Absolutely lovely. See the shine on it. Anywho, it saves me. It saves me so much. When I'm against Blue Eyes, my opponent one time got the Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. He had another 3 Blue Eyes on the field and proceeded to attack. And I just Drowning his board, and I won that game because of Drowning Mirror Force. And he didn't have a response to it. And then my one new ulti Psychic Overload, because I didn't know that this card came in Ultimate Rare, and it was super cheap as an ulti, so I just decided to get it, because why not? I loved it. It was like 50 something cents. Had a little problem with when it was coming in the mail, but I got it resolved and I got my ulti, so I'm happy. And then after the World Championship qualifying, I did decide to put in 1 Rivalry of Warlords, just because it works, and sometimes it does actually come in clutch. You don't really need more than 1, honestly, because you have 2 and then you set 1, and then it's just like Rivalry really doesn't ever get hit. But Rivalry is also a good distractor, you know. They focus their time on Rivalry of Warlords. That gives me time to set up plays with Overload and the gears and the field spell. It gives me time. That's all it really is. I don't plan to have this be a key factor of the deck. I just have it to be a distractor. Be like, flip Rivalry? Okay, you don't have Twin Twister or MST. Alright, how are you going to get rid of this card before you can start playing the game again? Oh, you can't? Oh, I'm sorry then. And then they got to focus on that, which turns their attention away from these cards. And then by the time they get over this card, I'd have had a board filled with all of these, and I just can't lose at that point. Like, it's impossible for Psy-Frames to lose once they get what they need. And I can prove that many times, repetitively. Let's go on to the extra deck now. Okay? Alright, so for the extra deck, we run the 1 Overmind Archfiend Ultimate Rare. I'm sorry, I love Ultimate Rares, honestly. I'm a rarity whore. Also, you may have noticed the girl on the back. That's Kagami Rin. Basically just a computer programming made to sing Japanese songs. And this is like, and what it's like is freaking Hatsune Miku. It's basically that, only it's a different one. And I found these sleeves and I was like, I gotta get these sleeves. So I did. They're like $6. It's total ripoff, but you know, what can you do? I love the girl too much. Going back to the deck profile. Overmind Archfiend, Hyper Psychic Blaster, Crimson Blader. That's another distractor. If I can, I go into a synchro based deck. I can just go Crimson Blader. Okay, you can't synchro summon now. What do you do? Nothing. Okay, bye. Omega, basic Omega plays, double Omega. So as I said earlier, I did decide to get double Omegas. So there's no need for my Japanese one in my deck anymore. Rip. I do still keep it though. I'll show it early. I'll show it a little bit later. Thought Ruler Archfiend because Thought Ruler's Bay. 2 Zeta. Gotta keep Zeta at 2 because Zeta is just crazy for this deck anywho. 1 Black Rose. You could put 2 in if you want. I decided to put 1 in because my extra deck space is already pretty tight. Psychic Life Transfer because I'm playing in real life and going into time is an actual problem. So this, this gives you wins in time. 1 Hope Harbinger because it's a rank 8 and it's amazing. And I got 2 level 8s in the form of, where is he? Omega, Omega. Yeah, 2 Omegas equal 1 Hope Harbinger. Or what it can also mean is it can mean Tachyon Dragon. Finally got my Tachyon Dragon. Neo Galaxy Eyes. Pain Gainer. Defense Position Pain Gainer. And then the 7 Sins. That's what it means. Haha. It means I can go into the 7 Sins very easily here. And the 7 Sins is just crazy. If you can't stop the 7 Sins when it's on the board, you can't spin it back, you lose. Simple as that. This video I'm going to actually bring in, if my battery doesn't die, I'm going to show my side deck options actually. This is not in my side deck actually. Actually it is, but not this one in particular. And here is my Japanese Omega because the rarity on it is just beautiful. I love it. Anyways, so there's still that's still a mascot in my deck. This is coming in. This and this are going to be main decked, and a third one's going to be main decked when the new support comes out. Anywho, so let's get into the side deck for what I did in my tournament. We had the 1 Epsilon because Epsilon is freaking bae against trap cards and like rogue decks that run traps. That's when you want to run Epsilon. Mistake, only to put in against decks that search more than I do, which is a lot of decks. Basically I'm putting in cards that hate my deck only if it hates my opponent's deck more than it hates my deck. Such as this. If I go against the Teller Knights, this kills them more than it kills me. So there you go. Mistake again. Stuff like Cosmo. They search more than I do. I put this in. They can't search. Goodbye. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror for the Monarch matchup. And I don't have any dark monsters really. MST. Double MST. Because fuck spells and traps. Flying Sea against Xyz cards, freaking Burning Abyss, stuff like that. My other Light Imprisoning Mirror, because light cards, light decks, just fuck them. 2 Royal Decrees hurts me, but if I'm against like Ying Zings or something and they run trap cards, I can just Royal Decree them out. Spell Shattering Arrow, only for the Pendulum matchups, and for certain other matchups, but it's mostly for the Pendulums because they have a lot of cards on board and this just wrecks them all. And it doesn't hurt me at all, it just hurts my opponent. So, goodbye my opponents I guess. So that's my side deck option. The battery is starting to run dry. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do what you love doing. And I'm gonna end this video off of a very beautiful picture of Kagami and Rin. So, thank you YouTube, and